Right everyone, hi. Here's another astrology video, and today I'm going to attempt to explain the planets as we see them in astrology. There's a million ways you could do this, yeah. The first thing to note about the planets is this: in astrology, it's not the same as astronomy, they see it differently. And so some people try to ridicule astrology and they say, well, oh, you said this was a planet, you know, the sun was a planet, it was a star. But in astrology they class all those planets as celestial bodies that we're interested in. They just call them planets. For simplicity, I suppose for simplicity, right? But that's where astronomy and astrology gets to conflict sometimes. So basically, let's go through the different planets. We have to look at the perspective from astrology as it's geocentric. That means we're looking at the planets from Earth's point of view. That's why when sometimes you see Venus is going backwards, we're looking at it from Earth and we're seeing it going backwards to our eyes, you know. And some planets you can see with the naked eye, of course, and some planets you see with a telescope, and they were the ones we discovered more recently, like Neptune and Uranus. So let's start with the first one, Mercury. So Mercury, the closest planet, the fastest planet, it's about 88 days it goes around the Sun. So we say that, you know, it typically retrogrades about 3 times a year because of that it goes around so fast, yeah? So Mercury, as far as we're concerned in astrology, I think in Egypt they said it ruled astrology. It was very mercurial in alchemy. And Mercury is the planet, as far as we're concerned, is very connected with the mind. So it rules Virgo and it rules Gemini, but it's a very fast planet. So it's very connected with those things like the nervous system and medical astrology. This is not a health video, this is just an astrology video, not to be taken too seriously. And so Mercury, very connected with the mind. So if you find it in your chart, you'll see how it's connected with the mind. So it's very, it's very happy in signs like Gemini, for example, the quick thinking mind. So then you've got, let's go to the next planet, is Venus. So Venus rules Libra and Taurus, but Venus, you could say, is a very hot, fiery planet as far as we know, as far as, you know, consensus science is telling us. And you can see that in astrology, I'll stick to astrology, I'm not going to slip off into astronomy. Because the difference between astrology and astronomy, some people have explained it very differently. I think one astrologer explained it quite well. He said astronomy is like, you can think of it as like the library, you know, with the labels of the book side, the book section, you know, it says geography or whatever, and then you can find the books. But astrology is actually opening the books, you know, you're finding the meaning in something you're interested in. So astrology is more like that, it's about the meaning and so on. So if we look at planets of Venus, you could talk forever about these planets, but Venus, for our purposes, is very connected as feminine sign, and you could say is connected with love and values and art, okay? So let's move on to the next one. Mars is quite the opposite of Venus, so it rules Aries, Scorpio. It's a co-rule of Scorpio. Mars is a very fiery planet, you know, we call it the red planet, and it's associated with those very masculine things, you know, the soldier, you know, it's very connected with the war, and a lot of astrologers have used it in the past to kind of understand, you know, you've seen the very warlike events throughout the world, those times that Mars was transiting or Mars was conjunct some other planets, yeah? So let's move on to the next. You know, there's, in different schools of astrology, they'll include planet or exclude them, some of them. I'm only talking here about, you know, Western astrology. So if you go on to the next planets, you know, like I said, astrology considers the planets. We even call them sun and the moon, even though the sun is a star, you know, and they're both luminaries, right? So, and the moon is technically a satellite, you know, a natural satellite. So, let's go back to define them. So, as far as we're concerned, the moon in astrology, we'll consider that it's very feminine, connected to the mother. And then we've got the sun, which is very masculine, connected to the father. And they, you know, they do a natural synod, you know, every 28, 29 days or whatever. And, you know, they meet up, new moon, they come together, full moon. They're opposed, you know, and they're furthest away from each other. So when they come together as a marriage, new moon, you have a new moon. So the sun is very important in astrology. That's why in traditional horoscopes you've seen that people just talk about the sun sign, and then it's very, you know, it can be very telling. You can read a lot about a person and make a lot of predictions just on that based alone. A lot of women relate more to their moon sign, or if they're born at night, for example. I did another video on that about moon signs. And the sun sign you relate to more if you're born in the day, or you're male, and different things, or, you know, your profession and whatnot. So where does that leave us? So the other planets. So let's deal with Jupiter. So Jupiter is a huge planet like Saturn, and these are more of the outer planets. So the inner planets you're concerned with is Mercury, Venus, Mars. And if we move to the outer planets, we're dealing with Saturn and Jupiter, and the others which were discovered later. So Jupiter is a big planet. Some even consider it a sun of its own, or wanted to be a sun, or whatever, because it's so powerful. And Jupiter is a benevolent planet, they consider it, because they've noticed in its transits. It's very, whenever it touches, it expands. And Jupiter is, it's got these little stripes on it and everything. You know, it's like a reddish planet. It is similar to the, it's very, you know, kind of rules the Sagittarius sign, and it was an ancient ruler of Pisces too. Okay, so Jupiter is connected with expansion, and it's kind of a slow-moving planet. It'll go roughly about every 12 years, transit, orbit the sun, right? So the next one we're going to deal with is Saturn, and again this is the outer planet as well. So that's to do with structure and routine, and rules Capricorn, and the co-ruler of Aquarius. Some people don't like that definition, that it rules Aquarius, but generally that's a co-ruler. It was. So Saturn is a slow-moving planet again. It's about 29 years roughly. That's why some people, when they get to adulthood, they go for a Saturn return. It goes the whole way around. It comes back to the exact point that they were born. And in astrology, some people call you an adult then, because you went for your first Saturn return. So Saturn, the cold, icy planet, it's got a bad rap in history, but it's basically, some people call it a teacher planet because of that. Going back to talking of teacher, Jupiter is more of the teacher planet. It's even connected with comedy and philosophy and all those similar things. So let's go to the outer planets. Now, some people didn't consider them because we used telescopes. It was around 1848, or roughly plus or minus, you know, around that time when they discovered Neptune. So let's talk. Well, I just started with Neptune, so I might as well talk about it. So Neptune is, even though Uranus comes first, and then Neptune is the outer planet. So Neptune is planet of dreams, the outer planet, and it takes the longest time to orbit the Sun. So there's one that always slips us by, is Pluto. That's the very outer planet, okay? So we're going to get to that. So Neptune is connected with dreams and, you know, photography, because it's a very dreamy, very gassy planet, yeah? And so it rules Pisces, because astrology community decided that that's what it fits best, right? So then we've got Uranus, which rules Aquarius. So Uranus is like the planet of lightning. It's electricity. It's very connected with anything to do with electricity. And surprises, that kind of things. The planet of genius. If you see it in the chart, it'll reveal where you've got genius. And then let's slip over to the final planet on the outer of the furthest planet that is orbiting. And okay, so some people don't consider Pluto a planet because, you know, the astronomy club or whatever, they decided that Pluto was too small, and they suddenly reclassified it and said it isn't a planet. Like I said, as far as we're concerned in astrology, we'll call it a planet, celestial body, something we're interested in, and it's extremely powerful. So that is connected with all kinds of things. It's quite destructive as a planet, but you'll see it connected with money, even yeah, all kinds of things. Money, sex, and very secrets. It's very secretive planet. So when Pluto transits in the chart, often you get secrets revealed or whatever. And Pluto is concerned with the shadow side of pretty much anything. So that's it then. Summary for the planets. That's a very brief summary, but you could talk about those planets in depth as well. And that's it basically. So thanks for watching.